Welcome to season 2 of The Release Show. I'm your host, Brittany Sconyers. On today's show, we have Davi Williams. Davi is a famous public figure in the lives of men and women from all walks of life, impacting lives with her words and honest thoughts. She rose to fame. Her rise to fame wasn't sudden, as she began her career modeling in the entertainment industry. As a goal-oriented woman, she excelled in that profession and proceeded to dominate the media industry. She has a Facebook Live show called Late Night with Davi, allowing her viewers to engage with their friends while getting inspired by her words. It's worth noting that Davi is also a co-host on the Good Success show, WMBM 1490 AM radio, and host for In the Mix TV show. As a mother and motivational speaker, Davi can best describe as a powerhouse and an advocate for the broken and abused who desires nothing but the best for humanity. Let's welcome Davi.
Hi, thank you. Thank you for that.
Thank you. Please tell us your story about what inspired you to choose your current career path.
Wow, what inspired me? Interesting. Modeling in the entertainment industry found me. I always felt from a young age that I was supposed to be on the stage. Excuse me. In fact, in the 4th grade was the first time a mic was handed in my hand. And from there on, okay, speaking and hosting, like I said, the 4th grade was the first time I was hired by my teacher to be a mistress of ceremonies. And then my, when I was, discovered as a plus size model was my first year attending the Florida Memorial University, HBCU, the only one in Miami. Hello. I was discovered by the name of Kimon Fashion. And from my debut, I actually modeled in front of Tyra Banks and Kimora Lee. So you talk about my first debut as a plus size model, South Beach, and I'm like in the thick of the fashion world. And that's how I got started in the industry between, hosting and modeling. I just felt from a very young age that I was supposed to be on the stage. I just knew it. I just knew it.
That is incredible. And I love the way you dress, girl. I'm always like, oh my gosh, look at her. I've actually been to a couple events that you have spoken at with Ty. And when I tell you, when I see you, I'm like, wow, she's so beautiful. I love the hat that you have on. Like I said before the show, I'm not going to borrow that. Oh, man. I love it. During your life, you started modeling as an entry point into the media industry during the early years of your life. Can you tell us a little bit more about the phase and what it was like?
Well, so for me, like most people, greatest challenge is self, right? So battling self in those conversations, I'm Afro-Latina, so coming from a Caribbean Hispanic, where we have adopted Eurocentric norms of beauty. So for me, battling the thoughts of, like, I won't say which family member told me, nobody wants to see no fat girl in front of no camera. So, you hearing those type of things, it was hard for me to be comfortable because I'm like, was fighting myself. Like, I'll go places, for example, just how where your gifting lies. I will go to a play. I remember like Michael Matthews' play. They'll be at the Caleb Center. I'm going to go patronize the play. Next thing you know, Davi's on the stage. So every single time Tyler Perry, other big names will come bring their plays, I will go to patronize the play. Next thing you know, I'm standing next to a Johnny Gill or Deborah Cox, like on the stage, and I'm like, okay, God, this must be a sign. Like, if I don't know that I'm supposed to be on the stage or be somewhere around celebrities, talking to them, hobnobbing, you always let me know where I'm supposed to be. But I kept fighting myself because of being a plus size woman. So once I had to go through body imaging and being able to change that narrative for myself, I noticed a lot of the young women that I would have come in contact with, I would help them re-author their narrative of their body and us finding ways to love ourselves, whether we were 28, 32, 18, 14, 10, even my girls who are size 2, even they have body shaming issues. So for me, that's how pretty much how the development of my voice, of my platforms, developed during being in the media sector because of my community philanthropy work that I do with a lot of girls and mentoring and career development. Anytime I'm planning somewhere, I'm always thinking about how I can develop and actually help people become their great. So that's essentially how media worked for me, and being in the arts and entertainment pretty much catapulted me to not only be around celebrities, but be around powerhouses who were dormant by the own narrative in their minds.
That is incredible. I love it. You're currently a public figure with several thousand followers on social media and even host a live show on Facebook called Late Night with Davi. What strategies did you implement to grow your online presence and become the giant that you are today?
Believe it or not, it was all organic. And I think it was the power of being the Wonder Twins. Demetria and I have variety in the South Florida area. I believe that, and because we were always in the trenches, we're always in the community. We're supporting other people. I want to say that, listen, people, you can't expect people to show up for you if you don't show up for others. And so we showed up a lot of people, and I think that organic touch, pretty much how my following just naturally grew.
That's great. It's always good to grow organically. And for people who started out following you a long time ago, continue to follow your growth. It's incredible to see, for them to see how you've grown and inspire them to want to grow as well.
Thank you. I get that often. Yeah.
Let's talk about your involvement in the Good Success Show on WMBM and the Mix TV show. What were these shows about, and what role did you play?
So we're starting with the Good Success on WMBM 1490 AM, the gospel station that puts Jesus Christ first, spending 24 hours a day.
Amen.
The Black-owned gospel radio station, none other than my godfather, the bishop, the prominent leader, Victor Tyrone Curry. We all know he's a giant. Those who are of the Christian faith in the Black community, mm-hmm. Definitely a community activist. And so with the Good Success segment, it's pretty much about highlighting entrepreneurship, those who are powerhouses outside of ministry, even in the marketplace. We were interviewing gospel artists, but primarily was more your political figures, your entrepreneurs, your millennial millionaires. It was definitely a safe haven to talk about what it is to be a Christian, but yet dominate the marketplace. And then in the Mix TV is primarily, it is that entertainment. It is out going to the festivals, the red carpet events. And that was the red carpet fashionista, being able to interviewing the celebrities. So I enjoyed hobnobbing and really like going behind the layers of the fashion and their labels, their music, from indie artists. We did a lot with indie artists outside of your national commercial art, where like your Nicki Minaj and your Destiny's Child, we pretty much ran a gamut of art. It was really, really, really been dope. Been able to connect with a lot of indie artists from the South Florida market, Atlanta, Chicago, New York. So yeah, in the mix is definitely in the mix.
That's great. Besides being on TV shows, you also have a book on Amazon called The Wonder Years, Me, Myself, and My Story. What inspired this book?
Oh my goodness.
Yes. I love it.
Story. Most people think that it started after my sister transitioned on June the 2nd, 2018. We just a couple of days out from the 3 years. I believe it still seems like yesterday. It doesn't seem like 3 years ago that Demetria transitioned. But the irony is the conversations of our memoir started in our undergraduate years. People always say that your own reality. We were actually piloted for a reality show at the time. My sister, prior to her getting on oxygen, and literally 3 weeks into negotiations, Zooming and Skyping, she was on oxygen and she was supposed to be off for 6 months. She never got off oxygen. And so it was a chill over that reality TV show. And I'm still just like, y'all should have let us be great. I should have just dropped that. It would have still been popping oxygen and all.
Mhm.
Twin work. And
Yeah.
the day before she transitioned on June 1st, 2018, we had what we call a meeting of the nomination. And we talked about the book, and we were talking about, we laid out things we were going to be launching. This was like literally 14 hours before she transitioned.
Wow.
Out everything we were going to be doing. And we got back to the book, and we have been writing bits and pieces. It had different names over time, Twin Tales, over the years. And it took her transitioning and for me to find different ways to her and to not just abort it, because I was just literally, I had no ambition to live without my roommate. And that grief had a dark place. Even now, as I'm trying to get out the other 2 volumes, it's hard to and to really recall the story and go through the life experience about her. But I knew I had to get it out. Like, it was literally like her spirit fell upon me. I just had to get the writing, to tell the story. And that's how the volume 1, the Wonder Years, came out. It started in undergrad with people telling us we need to write a book. And I'm like, we're young. We're like 19, 20. Like, we although we had a lot of life experiences, we were like, we didn't live enough for people to be like, I want to hear y'all memoir. But being that she transitioned at 36, and we have had a myriad of life experiences, I knew that our story would be rich enough, even at that point, to be able to share our memoir of what it is to be twins who triumphed over many, many, many traumatic experiences, and how we refuse to let those things define us in a negative fashion, and what we did in order to forge forward and to leave indelible marks wherever our.
That's incredible. I'm so happy that you decided to write the books, even though your sister is transitioned to heaven. I'm so happy that you came out with this book, and that I hope you gained the strength and inspiration to continue with the next 2 volumes that you mentioned to follow. So when your sister transitioned to heaven, what were some of the challenges that you faced? How did you get through that trauma and where you are today? And I know you said it still feels very new to you. And I just kind of want to know, walk me through the steps that you've taken to help yourself heal to where you are today.
Ooh, well, being both of us as trained professionals. Me, I'm spiritual sector. Demetria was definitely mental health. And so being able to get therapy for a while, I literally just sat in grief. I was like literally an autopilot, just, moving, working and thinking like, hey, I'm being strong, it's happening to my faith. But what I was doing, I was robbing myself to emote, because she left behind 2 kids. So I had at the time, I basically took in my nephew and my niece, because those are our babies. They're siblings. They're literally brothers and sisters and cousins because of our DNA. I'm like, ain't nobody being separated. And so the weight of that, being a single mom, going from a mom of 1 to a mom of 3, man of 4, as an entrepreneur, it was up. It's been a challenge. I mean, just to be quite transparent, I've been saying maybe like the last 4 weeks that I'm just reawakening to. I'm coming back to who Davica is, because I literally just have been in a space, a shadow place of trying to find new meaning without my roommate. I was born, folks be like, you weren't born with nobody. I was born and with someone for 9 months, and everything, my being has always been aligned to being an identical twin. So to go from being an identical twin to being her caregiver, it took a toll out of me. It really did. So find outside of the kids a new meaning for life for Davica, and what does that look like? So here we're talking counseling, Reiki, prayer, meditation, going to the beach, crying, you allowing myself what to do, but to take each day as a new beginning. Literally every day I have to show up for myself. People wouldn't understand, well, you're positive. Yes, I'm a positive person. But for me, some days just to get out of the bed was a victory. Okay. Was a victory. So it's been a beautiful journey in the essence of me relearning who Davica is as an individual. It's been a beautiful journey. It's been arduous, but it's been beautiful. And I'm still learning myself and who this young woman is evolving to. And knowing that even though Demetria physically isn't here, her spirit is all around me. Like, we still have twin telepathic energies, and people if people who weren't around me who didn't see these manifestations, they would think I'll be lying. But they're like, listen, spooky, that is weird. They have like chills. They're like, I thought y'all was close before, but I've never seen that before. People are just like mystified. I'm like, y'all, God is bigger than the church boxes y'all put God in.
Yes.
Let God blow your mind. Open yourself up. And when people are open, you experience the fullness of God through humanity, through nature, through wildlife. Like, God will blow your mind if you open up.
Amen. God will blow your mind if you open your mind to it. That is so, so true. So let's talk about your book. I'm sorry, we've talked about your book. With the success and positive reviews from your book, do you see yourself writing another one in the future?
Yeah, so outside of the volume, it's just for me, like I said, getting out of my own self. People don't know what I'm gonna say this. Even self-publishing, like, one thing about me, you want to put out a good body of work. Y'all, that ain't cheap. Don't let folks try to tell you they'll sell you, oh, it's cheap. No, when you want to put out a quality product, save your coins. Okay, make sure you put out a good product. Definitely, anytime I want to attach my name to something, I want to make sure the body of work is reflective of the academic. Hello, somebody.
Yes.
And reality for the story. So for me, it takes time, research, and really, it's expensive with your time and your coin. But yeah, have work in me.
It is. And I learned that when I wrote my first book. I was like, wow, from writing yourself to having it edited and all the different stages you have to go through. It is not cheap if you want to put out quality work. That is so true. If you want to put out anything, then it's cheap. But if you want to put out something quality and you want people to be inspired and purchase it from you, it definitely costs. So that is definitely true. You currently travel around the world spreading awareness about the disease that your sister had. Why do you think it is essential for people to know about this specific issue?
Well, when Demetria was trying to figure out what was going on, we learned then that we know that there's health disparity among people of color. And primarily, we were unaware of autoimmune disease. Autoimmune disease is what they call the young women's disease. Anywhere between women in their menstrual stages, let's say from 9 to 12 years old, young girls start getting their menstruation. Pre-menopausal, about 50 years old. A lot of times, women become diagnosed with autoimmune disease, and for whatever reason, just like I said, can't inactivate. What we have learned over the various conversations, usually it is stress, trigger, and nutrition. How you handle stress. Most people don't know stress hides in your body. stress, you hear this all the time.
It does.
So that's why we begin to advocate for women. Not, and our messages wasn't only for women. Demetria, again, was trying to figure out why her fingers were shifting, her toes were shifting. Doctors were telling her, like they tell most Black women, you are calcium and vitamin D deficient. 3 years, Demetria went through what was going on. The third doctor, when they asked her your family history, asked her this one question: did anybody in your family have rheumatoid arthritis? She heard arthritis because my mother has arthritis and osteoporosis. She said yes. That was the question that gave us 3 years with her, because at the point the doctor said, okay, rheumatoid arthritis, which is an autoimmune disease, right?
Mm-hmm.
For a full blood panel analysis, and I'm saying this to your listeners, if you are going to doctors and they can't tell you what's going on with you, demand a full panel blood analysis, because it looks up everything. And that's usually where autoimmune are found. At the time, they found that my sister was first diagnosed with systemic scleroderma. She had 5 rare chronic debilitating diseases. The thing about in other autoimmune diseases, when you catch them early on, you can slow them down. I believe you can reverse them up in the stage, and when you say you can heal your body, but you have to know these things so that way you know how to treat it and know what type of nutrition and dietary you need to stop feeding the autoimmune disease. She was diagnosed with Raynaud's syndrome, systemic scleroderma, connective tissue, Sturgeon's disease, and I'm always missing one, Raynaud's syndrome. The last 10 months before she transitioned, she then developed lupus. Lupus and scleroderma are like cousins on the autoimmune sector. And what we do, while we decided we had to get the messaging out there, because there are millions of women who thinking have alopecia, which is also autoimmune. They're thinking that, oh, nothing is wrong with them, and then all of a sudden they finding out they're getting diagnosed with lupus, scleroderma. More people have scleroderma than those who are diagnosed with lupus. Well, you know, but you didn't hear about scleroderma. And what scleroderma means is sclero, it's the hardening of the skin. And what happens is there's 4 different modes of scleroderma, and how scleroderma could either, one, affect your skin, because like I said, it's an overproduction of collagen, which causes your skin to harden. It feels like almost like leather. That's the best way. But what the thing about the challenges with scleroderma, which my sister had, systemic scleroderma, which means she didn't have the involvement in the skin. It involved her attacking her internal organs, which attacked her lungs, which caused her to have COPD, interstitial lung disease. And the COPD, interstitial lung disease, and another respiratory disorder. And it was so much, like, I tried not to internalize it, healing over her. Demetria made 360 change when she was hospitalized. Like, when the people saw her body change over time, because they would pump you up with steroids, when really it's all about, I'm learning now about changing your diet, having more of a vegan raw diet, because like how they've been able to help reverse cancer. There's things people have been able to go on into remission even with autoimmune disease. So I wanted to say that if anybody's watching and you've had a doctor to give you a diagnosis that does not sit with your spirit, don't let it sit with your spirit. Begin to look for a cure, pray for a cure, because we believe there was a cure. But at the time when Demetria was advocating for herself, because of her insurance change, her health care changed. And it's a travesty that how we're living in the richest country, okay, and we don't get adequate health care because of our skin, because of our socioeconomic status. And no matter how affluent we have of those among us who are minority of colors, still we have even seen, due to COVID recently, you've even seen Black physicians even die, even trying in the midst of over COVID. So health disparity is real, period. And so that's why Demetria and I made it our business to go out and be able to tell people, listen, advocate. If you don't feel a diagnosis is correct, get another opinion. Keep finding, keep knocking. Like the word say, keep knocking.
Mhm. Yes.
And it took her 3 years, 3 doctors for her to finally get diagnosed. But if the first doctor would have listened to her and did just a minute calcium deficiency, a vitamin D deficiency, my sister would have been here. She would have been here.
Wow. Yeah. And I think it's really crazy that doctors can't diagnose you with things like why their mind doesn't go to, like you said, do the blood panel to find out what's going on with you. Why didn't the first doctor think of that? And I hope it had nothing to do with skin color, but it probably did. But that's what sucks. We need to do a lot of research on our doctors as well when we're picking them. Because I personally do. I'm not from Florida, but I've been here for 10 years. And when I moved here, I made it very important that I found people who were the right doctors, the right church for me. I mean, all of the above to match my spirit that was in Nashville, Tennessee, because I didn't want anybody, I didn't want a church that didn't fill my soul. I didn't want a doctor that didn't fulfill me if I was sick, and help me when I was sick. So I made it a priority to make sure that I did my research. So guys, when you're looking for a doctor, look everywhere. I mean, read the reviews, all of the above. If you really want to find a good doctor, ask people, speak to other people. You never know. And I'm really big about my OBGYN too. I need to find someone who cares about my body as much as I care about it as well. So, just do your research. It's very, very important that we find the healthcare provider that is best for us.
Absolutely.
So we know that you have a degree in psychology. What made you decide to get a degree in psychology?
So ironically, growing up in a family full of long educators, business men and women, and our family is known in the South Florida, the South Dade area. So my family they call us royalty down in the South Miami-Dade, Willie, Arthur, and Polly Mae. Shout out to my ancestors. Mm-hmm. But Demetria and I, we just had this natural ability from the time we were young. We're gatekeepers of people's spirits, knowing your gift. And from the time we were young, I was a peer counselor. I used to talk about it in my book. In the 5th grade, about these microphones. In the 5th grade, I had a counselor who saw in me that my ability, call it intuitive listening and empathetic care, and that she naturally saw my natural leader, that people will always come and confide in me. And in those moments, my granddad, I was my granddaddy knee baby. So the wisdom that I carry is because I sat at the feet of my elders. And so even as a young girl, they said I had an old soul. And people, young or old, would come and just talk to me, and I would just sit and listen. And they was like, you're good at this. Those natural giftings, like from young, they cultivated at a very young age. And I just kind of stuck to it. It always found me, no matter where I go, no matter what I do. I could be standing somewhere in the elevator and I'm trying to look off because you know the moves, you don't want nobody. I don't know why this felt. I need to say this to you. I'd be like, God, really, do I got this written on my forehead? On my forehead. I'm like, I can't deviate from it. I promise you, I cannot deviate from it. And then when I got to college, my first major was education. No, I got out of it quick. I said, this ain't for me. Like I could teach, but me and disrespectful kids, I can't do it. I did supplement work. I believe in laying of hands. And I'm not talking about it, but I can't for children, and I can't discipline you. Can't do it. So
me either. That's that's great. I also have a degree in psychology too. And funny, it's like I would always wonder why people would always come to me about their problems. Like, I feel like, what is it, God? Like, you gave me this gift and I don't know what to do with it. But it was like strangers. I would be on a plane and someone would just start talking to me about their life. And I'm like, I don't even know you. You know what I mean? And I'm like, okay, so God, what is this? And it would happen so many times, so many times, so many times that this is the reason why I came out with the release show. Is because I wanted people to share their stories and not only just tell me about their stories. So it prompted me years later to come out with this show. But yes, I really like that I have a degree in psychology because I study people. And I think it's very important because people can come interrupt your spirit. And you never know what kind of person that person is. So I'm very funny about who I connect with, who I talk to, all of the above. And I thank God for that degree in psychology because it's helped me through life and helped me understand people and why they react or why they're the way that they are. And if I need to be connected with them or not connected with them, I get the red lights. And so I'm really, really thankful for that psychology degree, girl.
Me too. They was gonna find a way in the space.
Yeah. Yes. Popular motivational speakers have emphasized how essential it is to follow your passion for living a more fulfilled life. How has this journey been for you so far? What were your ups and downs?
Oh, I had, like I said, a million ups and downs. I see these children of the cross, they don't say they want to come in one second. Okay, y'all, right? No, be great and be quiet, okay? So many challenges of the coming of age of a story. Our first first childhood traumatic experience was at the age of 3, and that was experiencing sexual violence through an incestuous act from an uncle. That led the trauma. It led, me having to deal with bullying. It led me, even living in South Florida, like I said, as Afro-Latina, dealing with colorism, bullying. You're a young girl coming of age, growing up in the hip hop culture in the 90s, over sexualized with misogyny, coming to grips with all of that pre-social media, going around when I was, because it was just, all that stuff was like in your face at the thick of, with Too Loud Crew, being able to, freedom of speech and things of that nature. So overcoming even dealing with gang violence, So when I tell you like, my story, volume 1, really gets in a lot of the challenges earlier formative years that not only myself, but even Demetria, how we had to navigate through, which really helped us to become a voice of the margin, being able to connect with other people from diverse communities of color. So yeah, I had to overcome a lot, and I was light. Like I put on the stuff that really made like the significant things, but it was a lot that did not go into the book. It was a lot. Then I'm going to get some of the other volumes to show that how I just built on greater precepts on each stage of the journey.
Guys, please go out and support Davi with her book. You can find it on Amazon. Put it up for me again. The full, yeah. So there it goes. The Wonder Years, Me, Myself, and My Story. Please go out and support her. Make her a #1 best-selling author on Amazon. Buy as many copies you that you can, and bless other people with it so they can hear her story as well.
Yes, definitely. If you have teenage, young girl in the collegiate age, this is definitely a good read. Those who have experienced trauma, and here I talk about how I boys at the age of 5. So it's very powerful. A lot of people diminish the resilience of children. you'll be surprised how resilient children are. And I think that when children are exposed to things at an early age, you have to honor them in that sacred space and help them to guide them through those traumas and to appropriate things age appropriately. Because one thing I was, sharing with a few colleagues is that when you experience certain things that, like myself, at such a young age, you get confused because you adult matter as a child in your and how do you grow and evolve and become a healthy being if you're not having honest conversations? And so childhood psychology, my sister and I, we have mixed feelings about it because the trauma center, that we experienced here in the Miami area, and my best way I could put it was trash, because they didn't have any cultural sensitivity. When we had therapists that didn't look like us, it was so cold. And once we had therapists who us felt we were culturally sensitive and really understood our spiritual faith, it made a world of a difference. So shout out to all the pastoral care providers, those who do serve their local churches, who do serve. Thank you for that, because those of us who are body believers who want to make sense to where is God in light of my human suffering, it makes a difference in the work that you do when you heal the human spirit. So I want to say that.
Amen. You have an event coming up on June 13th with Pastor Sabrina McKenzie. Please tell us more about the upcoming event and the wonderful woman you'll share the platform with.
Oh, Marketplace. Listen, Miami. So Pastor Sabrina McKenzie, I met her while I was in seminary at the Morehouse School of Religion in Atlanta, Georgia, for the time I was there. And she is known for international dancing preachers. She is a reality star from the hit series on Bravo, leading the Man's World, executive produced by Davis. And we're going to be basically empowering those who are Christian business owners, right? And basically, they know that they have a gifting for ministry, but yet they're gifted in the marketplace. And I don't know, for whatever reason, why people feel like Christians supposed to live these dull, boring lives. You can't be in the marketplace. And if you read Proverbs 31, dealing with women, hello, she was a boss, okay? She was an entrepreneur. She tended to her home. She was a wife. There's so many things about being an industrious woman. And so with the ministry marketplace, we are really helping not only clergy, but other Christian business owners on how to pivot post the pandemic. Dr. Sabrina and I are in a business together where there's $1 million millionaires, young millionaires who've helped churches basically bounce back post the pandemic, where they've been able to pay off church debt, where pastors have been able to not have to live off of love offerings. So it's just been a blessing to being able to put financial literacy at the forefront and to help families bounce back from the pandemic. And also, I am a licensed realtor. And so here in the South, people are not left credit, and I got folks mad because they can't get apartments because their credit is just shot. So we're teaching people how to be good stewards over which God has given them in the financial, how to get out of debt and how to leverage it.
That is going to be incredible. So anybody who is in the Miami or Broward area, please register to their event on June the 13th, because it is going to be valuable information and it's free. So you have no reason to not attend. And I know you will be educated and come back with some great information to help guide you through life.
Yes, it's free, but it's powerful.
Yes. Lastly, we like to know your plans for the future. What goals and milestones have you set to accomplish in your career and personal life?
Well, I want to be that new millennial millionaire in my family. I have had family who were millionaires in the early 1900s, but I definitely want to change the trajectory, not just to be a millionaire to say, oh, to brag and be braggadocious, but to leave a legacy for the children of the cross is what I'm most affectionate call Demetria and our kids, and to be a blessing to the communities that I serve and not have to feel restricted by limited resources. We believe that we are heirs of the kingdom of God, I shouldn't be limited even in my resources. So I don't want to have to be focused all the time how to rob Peter to pay Paul. We got to get out of that poverty mentality, that mindset. Also, future things is just basically expanding the one's LLC to the foundation, continuing the legacy of mentorship to the one literacy for children, including reading and literacy, and even continuously the beauty brand, empowering women for holistic health. And so I'm getting back to my small groups of women. I look forward to that. Y'all been asking when I'm gonna get back to mentoring, and I'm like, because I've been in this pouring into me. I've been pouring out to the world all my life. I have to get all this goodness, this sustenance, so that way I can be able to be unrestricted when I get back into that therapeutic space. And outside of the book, your girl gonna be on the runway Labor Day weekend for New York Fashion Week in Harlem. So I'm excited. It's all gas, y'all, all gas. There's no stopping. Only time stopping is to refuel, to get reconnected, because I got to stay before God so that way I can give the best of me so that you could be the best of you.
Amen. Very powerful. I'm looking forward to seeing all of that. I'm looking forward to seeing you in Fashion Week. That's amazing. I can't wait to get back out there in Fashion Week. I'm actually a fashion designer as well. I can't wait to get to get back out there and do some shows, because it's just been, this pandemic has set us back, even though I was actually planned to take 2020 off anyways, because I needed a break. In 2019, I did like 20 some shows. I was all over the world and it was just too much. Thank you. It was just so much work. And I said, I'm going to take 2020 off to refuel. And then the pandemic happened anyway. So it was perfect timing. But I'm planning to come back in 2022 to start my new collection. So I'm super excited about that. But I'm ready to kind of just go to some fashion shows. So I think I'm going to try to go to Miami Swim Week here. And just sit in the audience and just see, instead of being behind the stage. Sometimes you just need to just see somebody else's creativity on the runway. So I'm super excited about that. But I'm so happy to have you on this show. You're such an inspiration. And I will be purchasing your book right after this show. And I'm going to get someone else a copy and bless them as well so that they can hear your story. But continue doing everything that you're doing. Continue to follow God's purpose for your life. You are incredible. I've seen you in person speaking, and it's just incredible just to hear you and see you. So thank you again for being on my show. Can you please let everyone know how they can connect with you?
And thank you again. You can connect with me on Instagram at Davi_the real Wonder Twins with the Z, Davica Williams, as well as Late Night with Davi. I'm coming back stronger than ever, but yeah, I had to take a break for 2020 as well with the radio. So things are shifting, and I've been on other people's platforms, but it's going back to Davi Speaks, the Wonder Twins LLC. Again, thank you, Brittany Scanyers, for having me. Shout out to the baddest publicist, Tyler, for making girl stays relevant, because I am relevant just like you.
Yes, thank you so much. Thank you guys for tuning into the Release Show. We'll see you next time.